meeting of the Hood Point Local Advisory Committee at 6 o'clock. We move to adopt the agenda as circulated. And now the adoption of the minutes here. Okay, and so the agenda has been corrected. I had 2018 on the one side, so it's 2019.
No, it would have been the minutes
No,
of the,
yeah, it was 2018. Yeah, sorry, it's wrong here on the,
should be 2018.
yeah, it should be 2018. I thought I looked at the new one and sent, no, it still should be 2018,
Yeah.
September 5th. Correct. That?
Do you need motions to adopt?
Do we have, it's in fast system? So moved. That's corrected. Okay,
Did you vote on it?
yes, we just did.
Okay.
And we don't have any public comments. Okay, and we're required at this meeting to elect chair.
Nominate Steve.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, and now we have to nominate the election of a vice chair.
I nominate Tom. Second.
Okay. Okay, input point information meeting follow-up. So we're going to review, is that?
If you've got any questions or recommendations you want to make related to any of those reports.
Okay, well, I guess we do have a submission to expand the annual report for 2018 to provide the complete history, which Tom alluded to earlier. It goes back to 1928 when the system was, if somebody like yourself new to the thing, without inquiring all around, you could just simply sit down and get the overview. And the same if any new water user connects to the system, they buy a property and they have no concept. This is what we say should be amended or changed in the report to bring it up to today with a full thing. So we'll submit that, and then if there's questions and so forth later on, I guess after staff reviews it, we can
So you want this included in the annual report?
changes.
Yes.
Is
Or
that
changes?
Just to it, yeah,
Is
to
that the report that-
expand the history of it and some of the points.
Yellow.
Do you have this in a digital copy you can send to me?
Well, I can, as a PDF, I don't know.
I'll just scan this.
Huh? I can send it to you as a PDF. Can you work with
Steve
that?
worked really hard to
Thanks.
get the language that was written integrated into the format of your report. So I don't know how you want
Yeah, you can tell me
deliver
which best way you want to do
So I
it and
guess
whether
what you're-
you want to review it.
Yeah. I guess what you're doing is making a recommendation to council that staff review this
Yeah.
report for inclusion in the annual report.
for
Right.
future
Okay,
use?
for
Yeah.
future use.
Yeah, and then if there's
Thank
any questions, we can come back if there's a
Okay.
concern of what's some comments or,
And Steve can send you an actual PDF file, like,
well, only of exactly that thing. so
yeah,
you
no,
can
but
scan
it's
it.
easier for Steph if she has it in PDF, because then if they want to work with it, they can turn it into Word and then work with it and put
But
it
if I
into the
send
whole
it as a
document.
PDF, it's not, you can't
You
edit
can
it.
turn it into a
Yeah,
document.
as long as it's a document that was
Okay.
done in Word, you saved it as a PDF.
Well, I do
Then
mine
she-
in Google Drive. so-
Okay, well, she can turn it around out of PDF and back into a Word document.
Okay, I'll send you
Yeah.
So what can I call this then, the
amendment.
well, that's what I put on the title there.
Oh, the title is
amended
the,
to reflect history?
We titled, there is a title there.
Okay.
this is the report that goes to Vancouver Coastal Health.
Yeah, and we would like it amended because it's not,
Yeah.
Historical context.
it's no argument, it's just lack of information.
Yeah, expanding the information.
Yeah, and I would recommend that you read it because we worked hard to get it accurate so that you get up to speed with us.
Yeah.
I like we won't read it tonight.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
let's-
we do then, I guess,
Hang on, we've got a motion, I think, that Steph wants you to vote on.
oh, sorry.
The committee recommend that council direct staff to review the document provided at its October 8, 2019 meeting, which provides historical context to expand information and include this in future annual reports.
Well, in this report, we wanted.
You want it every
included
year,
this-
right?
Yes,
Okay, but-
in this report.
But this report was submitted
It's
in
already
April
done.
of
Oh, right.
2019.
So this actually goes to Vancouver Coastal Health, though. Are they gonna wanna hear all about this?
Well, they will in the
Yes.
future.
So
Okay.
then, you know,
Yeah.
the money comes
But-
at the
but-
annual operating.
Has this
and
been
water
submitted?
Oh,
quality.
yeah, this was submitted on April the
Okay,
8th.
so I thought we were approving it,
No,
it
no.
it already went.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
no, it's already.
Well, for future years,
For
it's
future
Okay.
years.
Yeah.
And Mover?
I'm, yeah, second. Favor?
All in favor?
And as the official process, because that was provided on table, it'll get it posted as an on-table item to the LAC agenda on the website. Yeah, so we'll do that.
Thank you.
Great,
I can't do that
Yep.
until I receive it, though.
yeah, I will send that.
She's ready? Are you ready?
Oh, okay, so we you got the water system overview and the financial results to just, is there any other discussion that we need to have from any of the members on any of the finances, or did we get enough clarity from the information meeting, I guess?
I'm just a bit of a loss just for instruction. We would like to sit with you and talk about this draft agreement, and I don't know where in this agenda that would fit, but it flows from that report.
Again, it would be you would have to make a recommendation to council on that as well. Yeah, so essentially you were an advisory committee to council.
Right.
And so any staff efforts or additional efforts required by staff, or any direction to staff to do stuff, needs to come from council. So if you're wanting to
So
simply
this
use
went through
staff
that system.
resources, sorry,
This went through that system, was advised, staff was engaged by council. Chris Murdy, your then lawyer, may still be your lawyer, was involved. This was produced. It was brought before council for approval. One of the council members had.
what is that, sorry,
Sorry, this is an agreement between us and the municipality.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay,
This is all part of bringing everybody up to speed.
okay.
Are you trying, did it go to council on May 25th, 2020?
And we're just
Yes.
needing to get
Yeah, it
some
went to
direction
council.
from some who in staff we should go back to.
But what Raj is saying is we have to recommend it
Well,
again.
sorry, maybe I need to get clarification on more clarification on what you're wanting to do actually with that.
We
I
want
didn't know
to,
what-
this was sent, this agreement went through the route you just spoke of.
He's not familiar with it.
I understand that. And then it was brought before council on May 25th.
Well,
20,
the report was dated May 25th,
Yeah, I think it was
2010, so it was probably
Sorry.
June.
June.
Oh, maybe, oh, that's not, yeah.
No, it's dated May 14th. But it was sent by council to staff for further comment on a particular point.
Right,
And there it's been for the last 10 years.
Okay.
It's a big number, 10 or 20. So we would like to bring it back. Now how, and continue.
Okay, so given that we have all new staff since then, and that happened in 2010, why don't we start off fresh again? And why don't you make that I would suggest that you make the recommendation to council that this
Okay.
be provided to
Yeah, I
staff
thought we
for
wanted to
comment,
talk to the
and then,
administrator, Kathy
Yeah.
Lalonde, as being the person who's been here and knows about it. That's what I thought we were gonna try to get a meeting with
It
her
was-
to
It was
advise.
on an agenda, so June the, well, June
I
the
just wanted to-
13th or 14th of 2010.
we're talking
June
9
14th.
years ago, so what
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
would
but
suggest
have them
we
just
do
tell us, or tell
is
them we would like
bring
Kathy
forward a new
Lalonde.
recommendation to council.
You do it, that's fine.
Well, that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rather than-
Kathy Lalonde was around.
Okay.
She's got the history, so
Well,
we
since
just
you-
like her
yeah.
to revisit, and then she can call a meeting with us.
I
So-
would, again, recommend, if you want to get action on this item, my recommendation would be, given it was 9 years ago, that you actually have it recorded in the minutes as a recommendation to council, that staff review this report, because it's a review done 9 years ago. Nobody's here who was here
Well,
9
that's
years
what I
ago
thought it
and would
might
have
be.
done the review, so I think we should have a new recommendation from the local advisory committee to council to have staff review this, if that's what you guys would like to do. And then staff, then that way council can review it and provide direction to staff.
Yeah, just my only thought was in what you said, that none of the staff was around at that time, but Kathy Lalonde.
And I doubt she's gonna remember.
Well, no, but she would be,
Yeah.
well, because the
Okay.
staff's not, I mean, they're going to get up to speed on, for
Okay.
them is gonna be
Okay,
nice.
There must
But
be
maybe not.
a file somewhere.
I guess.
So the first step is we need to dig
Yeah.
out the minutes, which I don't have in
Yeah.
this file. I've got correspondence, Brent Mahood, who was the CAO back then,
Yeah,
and I've
Brett
got
would,
an
yeah.
email trail between he and I and Chris
Yeah, I
Murray.
just thought it might be easier if we revisited it
Yeah.
with Kathy, and then she would direct staff as to what to do to get something.
I think the way the governance structure of this committee works, the proper way of doing it would to be making that recommendation to council again, given how much time has passed since the previous one. I think that's the best way to proceed forward.
Yeah, I guess, again, the only thing, we never got any response back from staff the last time. And then we got
Well-
off on, and councils changed, and we got working on other issues, and, yeah, just,
I assume that what you were saying there was staff was supposed to review it and report back to council
as
on
a
it, right? So
recommendation, yeah.
actually it never, from what I understand you saying, it never got reported back.
I guess,
To
and the
council.
councils changed, because it was right in the
Yeah, the
election year.
councils have changed since then as
Oh,
well.
yes, I know.
Exactly, as you were saying, so,
Yeah,
Steve, is there any problem in following this?
well, yeah, I guess just whatever we think, then you're saying, is we make a recommendation to council to,
Direct staff to
Direct
review
staff.
the
and is there a
agreement.
title on this agreement, we don't know where to go and what?
It would
I
have
need it to be
been,
provided if this is gonna happen.
I guess it's
Sure.
in the minute,
Yeah,
it would
so
be
they
in the
sent me
minutes.
another one,
the agreement,
PDF.
I've got the,
yeah.
It would be in the minutes, and we can probably look that up as to what the
Yeah, it
agenda.
was-
she's got the
It
minutes.
was,
Yeah.
I haven't got the minutes, unfortunately, what I've got
I
is
think I saw it
the
somewhere.
staff report. The staff report was dated May 25th, 2010, it was presented to the June
Yeah, it was a-
14th, 2010
That was council meeting, June, yeah.
And it was, the subject was the Hood Point Householders Society Water Licenses Agreement.
there was a
Good
staff report.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see, it went all the way through the system,
yeah.
Okay.
and then
Stalled.
it stalled, only for a decade.
Yeah.
And I did ask the questions.
So,
Okay, sorry, I misunderstood earlier. I thought a staff report was done.
Well, yeah, there is the staff report.
Oh,
it
It
was
was written
done.
by Brent Mahood, who was the Director of Engineering Operations, to Hendrik Slangenhorst, who was the Chief Administrative Officer.
And it was,
And that was dated May 25th, and the recommendation was that the mayor incorporate a whole bunch of whereases. Be it resolved, the municipality approve the execution of the agreement, da-da-da-da, and that the mayor and corporate officer be authorized to execute the said agreement with the Hood Point Householders Society.
Okay, so the action item never got followed up on it?
Well, I don't know, and there's,
if I may, what happened is one of the council members raised what turned out to be a valid issue. which isn't a big issue, but it was an issue. And so it was sent, despite this recommendation,
Yeah.
it wasn't followed through. It was sent to staff to resolve that issue.
Clarify it, resolve it.
And bring it back for execution, and then a decade went by.
So we need further.
Do we have a recommendation on that? Like in terms of, I still think given the amount of time that's passed and the new government structures, I would think that we should have a new report, a new recommendation to council to review it.
Yeah, well, there hasn't been any change in the governance structure since this was done. So I think your motion might be that the Hood Point House LAC recommends to council that
Staff review with the local advisory committees.
Maybe.
Yeah.
the,
Yeah, that's great.
the,
Because it does need some amendment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so along with the
Yeah,
council
we
direct
got
staff.
that, understand
Review it, yeah.
details.
Okay,
Okay, is that?
okay, yeah, just a different route,
Okay.
yeah.
Great.
That's where you go. Mover?
Thanks for bringing
Move second.
And I need you to send me that.
it. Yes.
Thank you. So I just had your water cost estimate from the last one. And for the 3 things.
Yeah,
Do you want to talk about that?
I guess I can, yeah. I mean, I've kind of already,
You covered that?
well, I guess there's a show, I guess that's, whether they have any questions.
Yeah.
Okay, are we moving on here to, I guess, the water system cost value estimates?
yeah, 5.2.
We discussed in the other meeting.
Did you have questions on the master plan? Because that's number 3 on here.
Yeah, well, that's, okay, I guess we've already discussed all the numbers, and then the only thing that I have some confusion on is it says a water master plan across the island. But yet you're proposing that this $300,000 be divided between just the 6
Yeah.
water systems.
Yeah, that was the point that Allison gratefully asked me to clarify, and it's looking at all
7 systems.
municipally operated systems, we're not exploring private systems.
For $300,000?
Well, it covers a lot, there's a lot of technical work, and one of the issues which admittedly isn't an issue for the point as much, but a big issue for many of the systems is aquifer, the state of aquifer and the longevity.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm well aware of.
So a lot of the technical regulatory costs are associated with trying to assess those aquifers.
Well, that's what's confusing, because then you're saying that this cost should be shared either on a budget percentage of the value of the system or on connections.
Yep.
But if we go by percentage, that's $45,000, and we don't really need, there's no benefit.
We have a study on the lake.
Okay.
There is a provincial study of the lake, which we
Yeah,
explore.
that in that.
I mean, I totally appreciate the questions and the formal recommendation. This is very early days
Good.
of my
Very early.
coming in here, recognizing some of the challenges of the systems, and we need to be proactive and looking forward to make sure all systems are sustainable and achieve a level of standard that its users expect.
Yeah.
And things have changed and will continue to change. Several of the threats, such as climate change, some of the growth that is occurring on the island, have not been accounted for yet. And I think the expectation of the standards have also increased since these systems were initially installed. I totally appreciate, and you folks are raising the fact that you seem to be one of the better organized and systems, and so there may be a rationale for why good point system doesn't need the same level of expenditure, and the distribution of those costs could be reconsidered. So that's not formalized. I still need to create a formal recommendation, a scope, and a budget number to the council.
Okay, but when you say aquifers and that sort of then makes me think again, like a lot of that impacts systems or people, wells, whatever, that are next to us or somewhere else that aren't even really in any of this. So I thought there was, Allison, wasn't there back in Volunteers Day or sometime quite a bit of a study done
Yes, I dug a.
about aquifers and all that kind of stuff? And-
More general than the specifics.
Well, yeah, but I would think that's what the island as a whole, which is then just something that should be in the budget of the whole, so all the
Oh, yeah.
taxpayers, because there's lots of people outside
Yeah.
the systems that need maybe to know where they're at with these aquifers, because they're on wells specifically.
And wells are different than people that have.
Oh, I know, but
surface
I mean, it's not
water.
just the 6 water systems. If you
Yeah.
take our system out,
Yeah.
it's really a non-starter,
Yeah.
because we've got it all documented, all been
Yeah.
analyzed, so
From-
we're,
from-
unless there's a major volcano or
Yeah,
something.
from
blows
an,
up.
from an aquifer perspective, it would cover the entire island. We would certainly try to draw on, and we would be getting information that gives us an understanding of the island-wide. When I speak to, but the study will cover many issues. It will cover fire protection, state of infrastructure, governance issues. It will talk about interdependencies between systems, which is also a very sensitive topic.
Nice.
Is, you know, these LICs, you know,
Yeah.
want autonomy, but at the same time, they have interdependence,
As to what would be
as you do
required
with EcoFlood. So all of those kind of issues will be visited. Some of the systems require a little bit more technical investment than the others, the ones that require wells. So aquifers would be island-wide. We would engage a hydrogeologist. We would certainly draw on existing studies to the greatest extent we
Yeah.
can, but we really have little information about some of the systems. But in terms of infrastructure, we're not going to start exploring, making specific recommendations to private systems. We're going to focus, when we look at infrastructure, we're focusing on those systems.
That makes a lot of sense.
But if you,
Well,
Yeah, the only problem at this end of the table is having
It's
the
the
last
cost,
sentence.
the cost distribution.
yeah.
Yeah.
or even if they need some of the work that's being described in the description.
Yeah.
So can we put words in or something along the lines that the committee asks that the
Distribution.
the distribution of the costs be.
Reflect the needs of the
reflect the
system.
needs of the systems, as well as.
Well, yeah, I guess, like, we never have had, and we've actually not taken proactive, we don't have any problem having an analysis of something that might be wrong with our system or needs to be improved, and we'd be quite willing to pay for that. It's when we start straying out into trying to combine it with other, so it's not just focused, because we pay for everything, we're not an objection. But as long as we know it's really something that's benefiting us, and if there's some
I appreciate that.
very minor point, we don't mind maybe contributing, I'm just saying generally, something, but not in the magnitude of $45,000, that just seems a little
Yep.
bit.
Well, I think he's quite amenable, we just need
Yeah.
language.
Well, as long as we
I
get
thought we
that.
just had
Okay,
something.
did you?
So that the committee requests that the distribution of costs of the island-wide water systems master plan reflect the actual costs of each
Consider
water system.
the actual needs of
Well,
each
the need,
system.
yeah.
Consider
In our case, yeah, there's not a lot of need.
actual
Or the benefit to the
needs
Yeah,
system.
need.
Needs and benefits
Yeah,
of the system.
needs and benefits.
of each
Of
system.
each system, yeah.
Does this come back to us before it's
Consider-
decided on? Or do you go away and we get,
You
we
get
get
to come as
surprised?
public comment to council.
So what'll happen
Yes is
with
the answer
capital
to the
request, so the way capital
We get another
request,
shot
this,
at it.
this would be a project request. So we're in our budgeting, we just started our budgeting process. So there will be a public consultation in January where the public will have an opportunity to comment on budget items. I don't know if, I doubt we will have another LAC meeting. I mean, our resources at the municipality are spread thin to help 7 more budget meetings, 7 more LAC meetings for the budget. And so, but we do have public consultation, which is open to the public, all capital projects. You have the opportunity to comment on all capital projects at that point in time.
Yeah, but you're just a member of the public.
Do you know, either of you know whether you folks have cited the number of studies that have been done? Do you know, are those in the presence of the municipality already, or?
They're in
Everything should.
They should
well,
be in that
they've
day and
been-
night binder, or whoever did that study.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and the province did one of the studies, and that is available.
Okay.
I can give you a copy of the titles
Yep.
That
and the
would be good.
conclusions. I can do that happily.
Yeah, if there's specific ones that you want to make
What's the
sure.
word? Bathymetric
Bathymetry.
study
Bathymetric study, yeah.
of
Calculate.
Lake,
Yeah, of the reservoir, yeah.
which led its capacity, continuing capacity was
Yeah.
the issue
Yeah.
as to how many licenses could be issued. And it's been, so that you know, it's been fully, all the licenses that it could support
Yeah.
have been issued.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, if
enough
there's,
said.
if there's.
I think our only issue is with your last
Yeah, yeah, no, I
sentence.
get it.
And
It's raised.
does our
question
comment
matters as well.
reflect that we're not supportive of the last sentence here?
Well, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's not even an official report, those are just notes you provided for me. I just asked for it in writing, now you got burned.
Everybody
So-
has raised it.
I changed it to, request that council direct staff to ensure that the distribution of costs, blah, blah, blah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
that's
And
fair.
knowing that our capital reserve fund is underfunded, I'd like to make sure that any monies we have are going into, rather than just going out into a study that maybe doesn't help our reserve. So anyway, that's, you've had our comments, I guess.
So I get a mover?
All in favor?
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so is that the end of the, what's that? Oh, something here about the excerpt from Council meeting of September 4th, Community Lands Workshop.
So that's an information item, council directed me to make sure that all the committees knew about this workshop. It was a long time ago now for you guys, so. And then there, yeah, information, just notes from last year's interim meeting.
And don't forget to
Your
go
reference.
online and do the island survey, you've got
I've
the
done
link.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good, get Bren.
Well, now, I guess, yeah, what was this, notes from the September 15th meeting?
Oh, that was the last year's information
Just for
meeting.
your information.
Yeah, I guess, was there anything well, I guess we already passed the minutes for the last year's meeting, didn't we?
Yeah, but that's not the, they're just for information.
Just for you guys to refer to if you want, keeping it top of mind for you.
Okay,
It's
so
free.
now do we need to look at our rates bylaws?
Well, Raj hasn't worked on the budget.
We haven't done, we're just working on the budget right now.
Are you going
Okay,
to have?
so
a new-
that's what it gets confusing how this meeting has changed, because I thought it used to be that we had the budget when we did, and then we took, and then the council or the finance would recommend, okay, either you should create, and we sort of agree to it, or got our input.
And those meetings were typically in the spring, April, so that's when.
Yeah,
Well, no,
well-
or maybe like right at the end of the year, early.
Or in July, before they did the budget, it's May, you have to have the whole budget thing done.
No, he won't lose it.
Yeah, our budget is slated to be adopted in March. I will visit that
If you
process
read
in
it.
terms of, I mean, right now, I don't know what the results of, or what the recommendations of staff are gonna be with respect to rate increases. So that'll develop in the budget process. And if there are going to be
You have it.
recommendations for rate increases in the utility,
Great.
I'll have to take a look at the timing in terms of, and I'll get notification out. My preference would be to have those as part of the budget consultation process and have the community participate in those. However, I don't know what I've got to take a look at the terms and regulations in terms of whether we should hold an LAC meeting and have an LAC recommendation to council for those, or whether we
That's
should
what
get
I thought the
participation from
procedure
LAC
usually
members
was,
through the
but now-
public consultation process. So I'll visit that and touch base with the chairs if we need to hold a meeting of the
But
LACs
you are gonna have a separate budget for each LAC in the budget package.
for each
Service area,
utility.
each
Will,
utility,
yes, yeah,
yeah.
each local area service will have a separate.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we decided that time they'll make what the rate should,
So,
Yeah.
because it hasn't changed for a few years.
yeah, so once you see it, if you are concerned, then maybe you can ask to have a separate meeting in advance of, or the same day as the public meeting or something, like stay right after the public meeting for another half an hour.
I don't have timing for that yet, so I will send out more information on that as we develop our information on those.
Okay? Any other,
Because, you know, that, I'm just thinking, that's a big deal, you know, this shortfall. And I'm not clear on the timing and, you know, how we're gonna address that as a committee, and, you know, it can't just sort of slide through as a kind of an in-house budget item. I think we've got to meet to talk about it at some point, don't we?
I think Raj said there was gonna be some review on this capital contribution part, which is the parcel tax part. Is there, to building up our reserves, you're gonna be looking at something?
We're looking at that in the budget process right now, and then that, as we look at as we move through our asset management process, we'll recognize what revenue is required to balance the utility, and that will result in probably a recommendation for rate change. What I'm not exactly sure about is the structure of, I believe we're gonna have to come back to this committee and have a recommendation from the committee to council with respect to what staff proposes as an increase. I'm not entirely sure on that process. I have to familiarize myself with the governance structure rules on that. Going forward, so I'll have a look at that and reach out to the chair
So
on
thinking
that
about
part of things.
the budget, and thinking about what Steve said earlier, the committee's intention all along has been that the parcel tax would pay for the contributions to reserves, and the fees would pay for the yearly operations.
Yeah.
So you might want to make a recommendation to staff that in preparing the budget, they consider the parcel taxes as the source of funding for the reserve contributions, and the fees as the sole source of funding for the operations. And then you would see what it looked like, rather than this year, where a piece of the parcel taxes was used to fund operations.
Yeah, I guess well, I always thought we were always supposed to be whatever
Yeah.
staff or finance proposed, we would then agree to it, and it would go, as an advisor to council, that's what the mandate is or something, so that we would say, advise council to accept it. And then we're all in agreement, but I don't know, you're saying we have to change?
Well, no, what I'm saying is I think, I could dig the mandate out actually.
Yeah, I haven't got it in front of me. Here.
But I think the role is that your advisors to council
On all
and
matters to do
staff.
though, it says with budget and finance, it's somewhere in there, is a word. I don't have.
I think some of the initiatives that we've been talking about are kind of gonna take us through 2020. I don't think a formal recommendation or outcome is gonna happen quickly, so I would envision that we'll do the planning and the thinking through 2020, and then this time, kind of next year, there may be interim meetings as well with you.
Okay.
But I think it's, going to be a kind of a year process, anticipated to be around this time next year, when I think, real substance.
Yeah, I guess as long as we just get a
Conclusions
chance
and
to have any
recommendations.
advising or input into whatever comes up with. just
So
that-
looking at the operations bylaw, operations and administration, in each year, the CAO shall be responsible for the preparation of a financial plan, which gets delegated to Raj. and the application of expenditures, and shall submit such plan for inclusion and approval in the municipality's financial plan. In doing so, Raj will ensure that the relevant advisory committee is consulted and the committee's recommendations are considered.
Yeah.
So consulted, but not final say.
Well, not final say, just that we
Consulted and
Yeah.
recommended.
we agree.
Yeah.
Just-
Bob and Steve are asking, I think, that we get a look at it. We don't
Yeah.
dictate, but we
Yeah.
get a look
That's
at
what
it
you should
before
say.
it goes to council.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Well,
the way
the other thing too that, I'm not clear on is the revenue, you got 3 lines on the income statement. I think the fees, I forgot, anyway, the parcel tax and then other income.
We have interest income, yeah.
So you got the 700, for her point, the $780 plus the 300. That money is, and then the balancing entry at the bottom was the reserve, transfer to reserve. It really doesn't, I don't think it matters at the end of the day, because, there's only one household.
Yeah,
So the money, it's either gotta come from the user fee or the parcel tax, doesn't it, to make up to provide
Yeah.
enough to fund the $60,000 reserve.
That's right.
So we've got, I don't know how that math works, whether it's it's really a combination, I think, isn't it?
Well,
We
we
were
were
talking
talking to
about-
happen, just for clarity, the parcel tax used to go,
straight to
because I
reserve.
used to draw them, go straight to reserves.
Yeah,
So when you take a look at the budget, I believe, so, can you just go to that page for a second, Steph?
The presentation or?
Yeah, the financial presentation.
Oh, you're organized.
Well, it's this page.
Thank you, I'm just gonna look at the.
It's page
So
7.
when we're looking at
Light
the
blue jacket.
2018 budget, for
Yeah.
example, so
Yeah,
what you're saying is, actually, I understand what you're saying, so this 29,100 should be the budgeted
Yes.
contribution to reserves,
yeah.
which would mean that your water utility fees are light by about $13,000. Right, so your utility fees over the year should have kept pace so that your budgeted parcel tax is fully going to reserves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that hasn't happened in the past few years.
yeah.
And if you look at, you have the 2019, you can pull up there.
And that's the same, yeah, so
Same thing.
basically, if
No,
you
no,
take a look
okay.
at your
The
5-year
next page.
financial plan, the same thing is happening, actually,
Yeah.
you should be having, I mean, it's staying flat at 29.1, but your, contribution to reserves is actually going down because revenues are not keeping pace with expenditures.
But the number that I was looking at is was the expenses 88,400? That is the expenses for operating the system?
That was the,
This right here,
Yeah,
yes,
for 2019?
correct.
Yeah, so you see, if you divide that by 94 users, our user fee should be $940 instead of 700.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, because they're,
That's what you're saying,
you've
yeah.
been using the parcel tax.
We're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
We're all saying the
Okay.
same thing.
Yeah, so at this point, we aren't doing any recommending and changing it. You're
No.
gonna look at that and go
But I
back.
think Raj has got the theory.
The other thing too, which I think, we've got the parcel tax, and there's also that connection fee, and I would recommend that connection fee, Steve,
Go into the,
also go into the reserve, in addition to the parcel tax.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be the
Yeah.
catch-up contribution
Connection
for
fee
joining
and
the
the
system.
The subdivision.
subdivision fee.
So those two items should go into the reserve, and the other
Yeah,
one,
so they would make that deficiency even a little bit higher,
Yeah.
right, by
Yeah.
about another
Right.
14,000.
isn't the connection fee supposed to cover the costs of installing the meter and,
No, no.
Hooking it
no,
up?
No,
This is a late,
That is a
late
late
comer fee.
latecomer fee for capital
no,
contribution.
there's two things, there's the subdivision fee, which is the latecomer fee,
Yeah.
and then every time a new meter and a new line
A
is
new
put
meter,
up,
they pay.
that's what the
Yeah.
1,500 is covering.
They
That's-
pay that, the
That's
property
what
owner
separate-
pays the
Yeah, no.
hookup.
That's the connection fee of
Connection, but
$1,500.
the contribution of 12,000.
Oh, yeah, the
That
12,750,
should go into
but
capital.
not the 1,500, which is which is cover the cost of putting in the meter and
Yeah.
hooking up the line.
Yeah, the 1,500 should probably
I think
come
we're
from
all
the
agreed.
reserve,
I
but
think
the
you agree.
12,750 should.
Yeah,
I
like I said,
didn't appreciate that bill 1,500, I was thinking that was the connection, but it's, you're right, it's the capital.
The big one,
All seven.
yeah.
We're all on the same page.
you know, just a second, okay, just a second. So, I don't want to be on a different page, but is the $1,500 based on the actual cost of the system
ask,
And if the system now is valued at 6
Good
million,
point.
should it be valued at the current value of the system rather than the original cost, which is,
that's the subdivision.
Yeah.
And don't the works crew figure out when we hook up a meter what the cost is, I thought?
No, that's the 1,500 connection fee. I
Yeah,
think
connection
Mike's
fee.
talking about the 12,750.
Yeah,
Is,
Oh,
but,
that should go up.
Yeah.
but we,
oh, well, yeah. That's
should it be
that's
based on the current value of the system?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of inflation.
Yeah, well, that's
So if
something.
we're talking
Raj is
about
gonna-
replacing $1 million system by a
that's
$6
something that
million,
needs to be looked at as
and
part of
today's
this whole
cost, should
process.
the guy hooking up from a raw lot,
Yeah.
new lot, be
Should-
paying
You
on
should
the
be
basis
paying
of
more
what the
than
current value is?
12,750 probably.
And he should have a water license.
Yeah, that's the other thing we got, which when
This
we
is
get this done
important.
in the next, hopefully, month with the water branch.
You can't
those-
just hook into our system because everything's licensed, so you need a license
draw from the
in
lake.
order to hook
But
up.
those
And I
big-
want you to know
The
that.
big lots have a license for more than $500 though, don't they? Or 500 gallons?
No.
No,
Oh, I thought
there are some, but
some of
it's
the big
not.
lots,
it's-
wait.
Well, we're gonna clarify it, we're having another meeting with the water branch, when we get all that done, then we'll bring it in so that staff can see,
Hold on, eh?
see what it all is, and we'll address the water licenses at that time.
But Mike's point is well taken, that the 12, whatever the subdivision fee should reflect the current value of
Yeah.
the system, if that's what we're all paying and reserving against.
But you're still working on finalizing the current values, yes.
No,
You can
you-
look at that as well, yeah. You can know.
Are you varying those, or are you, 6.3 is
Oh,
the-
that's the preliminary number.
Yeah, they may change, not hugely, but
Not
may change.
Okay.
But I agree with you. I think everybody.
Oh,
does.
okay.
Okay, so is that, we can move to adjourn?
No,
Oh,
no,
sorry.
I got, I'm still concerned, there's a lot of meat in what we've just covered in about the last 10 minutes. As much as what I think the whole meeting was about, like the rates and the reserve and the connection fee, all that good stuff. How, I'm not clear in my mind that we get another, the committee gets another look at this and another opportunity to recommend, you know, with the timing of that.
Another look, a look.
Well, yeah, I think that
Another look, a look.
we're working on our budget exercise right now. So, and we'll have to basically meet with Glen once we've gone through the utility information. And if we are going to have a recommendation or changes to rates, I also have to take a look at when your rate bylaw is effective and when we have to have that done. Just with the amount of work and meetings we have on the plate, on the go with budget, basically I'll take a look at when we can schedule a meeting. We would come back to this group for a meeting
will
for a
come back.
recommendation to council.
That's all we're asking
Yeah.
for.
Rates.
That's a
So I've
statutory
heard that
obligation.
concern, and we'll
Yeah.
have a meeting with this group before we
Well, that's all
make
we're
a
asking.
recommendation for an increase or change in rates.
Okay, so can we move to adjourn now?
Yeah.
So moved.
Al just sent me a text, he said, what am I supposed to do with this potato? I said he could make the oven fries now.
Okay.